I call to order the November 14th, 2023 business meeting of Simpsonville City Council. Clerk Clark, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, Mayor. Councilmember Gooch.
Here.
Councilmember Rube. Councilmember Houlihan. Councilmember Roche.
Here.
Councilmember Cummings.
Here.
Councilmember Hutchings.
Here.
Mayor Shoemaker.
Here.
Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance as you are able.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic of which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I apologize for wearing a hat during a council meeting, but I had surgery on my head, and so my hair is a fright. So I'm covering that up. At this time, I have a presentation of a proclamation for Small Business Saturday, and I will read that into the record. Whereas the government of Simpsonville, South Carolina celebrates our local small businesses and the contributions they make to our local economy and community, and whereas, according to the U.S. Small Business Administration, there are 33.2 million small businesses in the United States. Small businesses represent 99.7% of firms with paid employees. Small businesses are responsible for 62.7% of net new jobs created since 1995, and small businesses employ 46.4% of the employees in the private sector in the United States. And whereas 68 cents of every dollar spent at a small business in the United States stays in the local community, and every dollar spent at small businesses creates an additional 48 cents in local business activity as a result of employees and local businesses purchasing local goods and services. And whereas 72% of consumers reported that Small Business Saturday 2022 made them want to shop and dine at small, independently owned retailers and restaurants all year long. And whereas Simpsonville, South Carolina supports our local businesses that create jobs, boost our local economy, and preserve our communities, and whereas advocacy groups as well as public and private organizations across the country have endorsed the Saturday after Thanksgiving as Small Business Saturday, now therefore I, Paul Shoemaker, Mayor of Simpsonville, South Carolina, do hereby proclaim November 25th, 2023 as Small Business Saturday and urge the residents of our community and communities across the country to support small businesses and merchants on Small Business Saturday and to shop small throughout the year. Thank you. Each member of council will have received a copy of the minutes for our October 10th business meeting. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, the minutes will stand approved as written. Now it is time for citizen comments. Mr. Pinkerton, if you would come to the podium and state your name and address, and then your time will begin.
All right, is that better?
There we go.
So I was reviewing an ordinance I believe is going to be read into tonight, and I just had some comments on it, and it's referencing Ordinance TX 2023-02. And addresses a couple things, one of which is basically how to charge if you want to charge for parking in your lot, and the other would be the use of gravel or stone as a design option for parking lots, and that's the part that I want to get to. Both of these probably are merited issues. If there's nothing to fall back on in the city's ordinance, then it's a good thing to get these out. But on the design issue, I just want to bring up a couple of things. It says under parking area design, all parking areas shall be surfaced with asphalt, bituminous brick, turf, block, or concrete material to minimize nuances from dust. One could argue whether asphalt versus stone are equally impervious. I would say not, but over time they probably are equally impervious, but the issue is the stormwater runoff. No matter whether it's an old lot or a new lot, as everybody here knows, we have issues with stormwater runoff in the city. It's been well documented recently. So it's not addressed here, but it's something to be concerned about, especially if it was a lot, say on Main Street, that was grass now and somebody wanted to turn it into a parking lot for pay. If that sort of thing happened, you still would have to address the stormwater runoff in some form or fashion. How does it affect? Two, the word bituminous to me should be removed and for the sake of this ordinance and changed to bitumen. Because bitumen is the glue, the gel that holds all asphalt products together. Bituminous is an adjective. Bituminous what? In fact, I would argue just to take it all out altogether, because a bitumen, you could use just plain bitumen as a surface parking lot, but it will not wear. It's not a good surface. It can be done, but over time it'll be worse than asphalt. You might as well just ask for asphalt. The rest of them are good, especially the turf block. I don't know if anybody ever go with that, but that's my idea on the bituminous. It just, to me, it doesn't read right into this comment. And then down below, we've crossed out several things, one of which is the applicant, assuming that's the person that's building the parking lot, shall demonstrate adequate subgrade preparation. One would think that would be in there. Now, again, these may reference other ordinances that address these things that I don't see or haven't looked into. What are the concerns? And then lastly, if I can get it in, there are a number of gravel parking lots in the city now, and maybe even at the amphitheater, I guess, park on grass. Are those addressed in this? Are they grandfathered in? You know, to me, there's a lot of intent built in this, but intent is arguable. So I would just ask that when you look at this to read it for final, that words are put in there that equal exactly what you're looking for. Okay, that's all I've got. Thank you very much.
Thank you. First item of business is 7A, second reading of Z-2023-02, proposed rezoning of property at 233 Harrison Bridge Road. Planner John Derby, will you summarize, please?
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is 233 Harrison Bridge Road. I'm sorry, I get the mouse going here. The Bible Baptist Church on Harrison Bridge Road. It is residential office and institution. The applicant is Chick-fil-A, looking to purchase a little over 2.5 acres and rezone the portion in green as business general. First reading on October 10th, and I can answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Councilmember Gooch.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I move that we approve on second reading Z 2023-02, rezoning a property at 233 Harrison Bridge Road.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Gooch with a second from Councilmember Hutchings. Discussion? Councilmember Roche.
Was it mentioned in the last reading what the intentions were with the location on Fairview Road? I was not here. Directing that to City Administrator.
I think there was a question asked about that. Right now, we've been told the intention is to just move that location and that there will no longer be a Chick-fil-A restaurant on Fairview Road.
Any further discussion? On the motion to approve second reading of Z-2023-02, proposed rezoning of property at 233 Harrison Bridge Road, all those in favor signify by saying yes. Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
All opposed signify by saying no. Motion carries unanimously. Next item, 7B, second reading of TX 2023-02, miscellaneous refinements to the zoning ordinance. Mr. Derby, will you summarize, please?
Sure. Just going to go over the highlights of this. The section we're looking to amend and update is one, parking as a use in the city for profit and for free parking as well when the designs come for the downtown. Other section is removing gravel as an option for parking lots. They must be concrete or asphalt or the options provided. 3 is the added vegetation strip between the back of the curb and sidewalk within the residential districts. And lastly, we did create some new defined terms, parking kiosks, garages, and stall barriers. So One thing that's changed in this was the whereas portions of the ordinance as recommendations from our attorney. I can answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Councilmember Roche.
Mayor, I move that council approve the second reading of TX-2023-02, miscellaneous refinements to the zoning ordinance.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Have a motion from Councilmember Roche with a second from Councilmember Cummings. Discussion? Councilmember Roche.
I'm assuming, but you know what they say about assuming, so I've got to ask. Some of the gravel lots that the businesses own, if they pave, I assume the city would provide the under-street drainage or under-lot drainage that's necessary when they do that, or will they have to pay for that?
That'll be part of the design features when they go to
So who pays for the applicant? Okay. That sounds like it could be really pricey for some of our businesses.
Like I said earlier, the gravel now, Greenville County does look at that as the same as asphalt, or in the same kind of method, so it does create a pervious surface over time. So they're doing the exact same review as it is asphalt. Might be they're not massive design to it, but they are still going through the permit process and review.
The lots that the city leases, will they be forced to now pave those lots even though we're leasing them?
No, ma'am.
Thank you.
Councilmember Gooch.
So just to clarify, going forward, gravel is no longer going to be acceptable as a
For new development, yes, sir.
new development. Okay. And it's one of the things that was brought up was one of the few of the language in here, bituminous, for example. Is that going to be confusing to applicants or to staff down the road? Is that something we should consider striking? Sorry, that's two questions. So
Yeah, we can definitely look into that. That's the same we've always had, and we've never had that come up as being a confusion part from applicants if they're just, decided the route of asphalt or concrete. We've had one design with pavers, but 99% of the time it's asphalt and concrete in there. So again, we can revisit that. Nothing has changed from the prior ordinance.
Make sure you're speaking close to the microphone, please.
Sorry.
and anything that's pre-existing it stays the way it is unless they decide to upgrade.
That's correct.
All right, thank you.
Any further discussion? On the motion to approve on second reading of TX 2023-02, miscellaneous refinements to the zoning ordinance, all those in favor signify by saying yes. Yes. All opposed signify by saying no. Motion carries unanimously. Item 7C, first reading of O-2023-05, update to the business license ordinance. Administrator Gracely, would you summarize, please?
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. As you recall, South Carolina State Legislature passed Act Number 176 in 2020, which requires standardization of business license ordinances throughout the state. It's also known as the Standardization Act. This act requires that every other year in odd-numbered years, each city, through their model business license ordinance, would be required to adopt the current NAICS codes that year. So this means in 2025, council will need to take further action on the existing business license ordinance. So essentially, this is mandated by the state law, and we are just required to adopt the most current NAICS codes.
Motion is in order. Councilmember Hutchings.
Mayor and Council, I make a motion to approve on first reading of O 2023-05, update to business license ordinance.
Second.
Motion from Councilmember Hutchings with a second from Councilmember Roche. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying yes. Yes.
Yes.
All opposed signify by saying no. Motion carries unanimously. Item 7D, first reading of TX 2023-03, miscellaneous refinements to the zoning ordinance. Administrator Gracely, would you summarize, please?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. And we also have Mr. Knutson, our planning director here. This is a pretty simple change, text amendment to the zoning ordinance that would just allow staff a little more flexibility in the design of South Main Street. It designates that area only as an entertainment district. I think there's been a lot of confusion surrounding this. It really is as simple as allowing our design team from Bolton and Meek, as they're creating those design features on that street, to not have parking stops, for instance, which would be required unless the parking space had more depth. It's, you know, as you all know, we're eliminating the curbs and we're just having everything all one level. And so this gives us flexibility to allow for that, because the current zoning ordinance does not. Additionally, you know, it allows the businesses along that entertainment district some more flexibility with design features. If they wanted to build a balcony, for instance, you know, where they would be encroaching over the public spaces, they would have to go through a review with staff, but it would give them that option where currently none exists. Also, the redevelopment of the old service station property. In talking with those folks who want to redevelop that, they had a really unique idea to incorporate the mural, the drive-in mural, and put a big screen television on what is the movie screen on the mural, to be able to have a really nice outdoor space and have people congregate there. Under the current zoning ordinance, they would not be allowed to have that. And so it just cleans up a little bit of those things and gives us more flexibility along that street only. And Mr. Knutson is here if you have additional questions regarding that. We kept it as general as possible because we didn't want to assume that we knew everything that would be requested. There is a staff review component to that, should council adopt these text amendments.
Thank you. A motion is in order. Councilmember Roche.
Mayor, I move that council approve first reading of TX 2023-03, miscellaneous refinements to the zoning ordinance.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Roche with a second from Councilmember Gooch. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All opposed? Yes, by the way. And all opposed signify by saying no. Motion carries unanimously. Item 7E, approval of intergovernmental agreement with MetroConnects. Administrator Gracely, will you summarize, please?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. We were approached by MetroConnects several months ago with an annexation agreement, and we had some concerns over the language, specifically requiring the developer to do a lot of additional work before they could even complete the annexation process with regard to who the sewer provider would be. We went back to MetroConnects and said, we agree that we need an intergovernmental agreement that would allow both sewer providers to assess the proposed annexation and make sure that the sewer provider was the least expensive option for the developer and made the most sense for it to either be MetroConnects or the city, whichever one is in the closest proximity. This is the same agreement that they currently have with the city of Malden. With the changes that were made, where staff is very comfortable with these changes now, it basically just firms up in writing what we've been doing all along. You know, with all of the annexations on the edges of the city, we've had multiple projects that could have either been served by MetroConnects or served by the city, and we've always deferred to the most reasonable option for the developer, to not have them incur additional cost, you know, to run off-site sewer, for instance, to a service main that we might have if there is already a service main provided by Metro on the property. So it's really formalizing a process that's been a verbal process for many, many years. And MetroConnects initiated this because as cities continue to annex, it's infringing on their service area through their through their enabling legislation from many years ago, and they just need to have something in writing that creates a process so that there's a discussion and a formal approval from either them or the city to defer to sewer provision.
Thank you. Councilmember Cummings.
Yes, Mayor, I make a motion for approval of the intergovernmental agreement with MetroConnects.
Second.
Motion from Councilmember Cummings with a second from Councilmember Hutchings. Discussion? All those in favor signify by saying yes. Yes.
Yes.
All opposed signify by saying no. Motion carries unanimously. That concludes all the items on our business agenda. If there are no objections, we will stand adjourned.